Alright, picture this. It's the moment every single Jeopardy fan lives for. The studio lights seem to get a little brighter. The iconic music softens, but the tension in the air is so thick you could cut it with a knife. With one final category on the board, everything is about to change. Today's category, scientific words. Sounds simple enough, right? But as anyone who's watched the show knows, the simplest words can hide the deepest, most complex meanings. You can practically feel the collective breath being held in the room. 3 contestants, 1 clue, 30 seconds on the clock, and absolutely no second chances. The host.com as ever invites everyone to take a look. The clue pops up on the screen. There's no dramatic sound effects, no extra explanation, just a few words of text. And in an instant, the entire game goes completely silent. This is that moment where everyone watching at home leans a little closer to their screen. It's the moment the contestants stop smiling, their pens start moving, and then they stop. Because in Final Jeopardy, just knowing the answer is only half the battle. Over on the left, we have Andrew Hayes. But the game is far from over. Now comes the real question. How much did Andrew wager? In the high-stakes world of Jeopardy, second place is the most dangerous spot. You're tantalizingly close to victory, but it all hinges on the leader making a mistake, and that's exactly where Brendan Layall found himself. The host confirmed it. Brendan was in second with $8,000, the Final Jeopardy. Clue was on the screen. His response was revealed. What is penicillin? A correct answer. At home, millions probably nodded in agreement. It seemed like an obvious one, but Final Jeopardy is never just about getting the right answer. It's a game of strategy, a masterclass in wagering. Brendan's bet flashed on screen. He wagered $1,337, bringing his total to $9,337. A smart, confident move. He'd done everything he could. Now, if the leader slipped up, the game was his. For a fleeting moment, you could feel the tension, the possibility of an upset. Next up was Andrew, in third place with $8,001 after his correct response. He played his part well, but the real drama was between first and second. Now, all eyes turned to the reigning champion, Allegra Cooney. She started the final round with a commanding lead of $18,200, more than double Brendan's score. Mathematically, she was unbeatable, as long as she didn't make a catastrophic error. We've all seen it happen. Champions who overthink it, bet too much, and snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. The pressure is immense. The host turned to Allegra. The studio held its breath. Did she get it right? Her response appeared. What is agar? Incorrect. A wave of shock ripples through the audience. Agar, a substance used in Petri dishes, was a logical guess, but not the right one. For a split second, it felt like the entire game had just been turned on its head. Did she just hand the win to Brendan? This is the moment where the wager becomes more important than the knowledge itself. Because a wrong answer doesn't automatically mean you lose. The final crucial question remained. How much did Allegra risk? Her wager was revealed. $10. Just $10. A purely strategic, minimalist bet. She knew her lead was her greatest asset, and she protected it perfectly. It was a textbook example of masterful Jeopardy. Strategy. Allegra understood that when you have a massive lead, the safest move isn't a bold one. The goal isn't to get the answer right. It's to win the game. By betting almost nothing, she made Brendan's correct answer and smart wager completely irrelevant. She insulated herself from any possibility of losing, proving that in Jeopardy, it's not always what you know, but how you play the numbers. She didn't need to be right. She just needed to be smart, and that's exactly what she was. A lesson in game theory played out on national television. What a finish. It just goes to show you that strategy is everything. If you love stories like this, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the most fascinating moments in game show history. Thanks for watching. We just witnessed one of those perfect Jeopardy endings. You know, the kind that isn't about a huge, dramatic comeback, but about pure, calculated strategy. It's a masterclass in discipline, and frankly, it's just as exciting. Let's break down what happened. We had 3 strong contestants, Allegra Cooney, Andrew Hayes, and Brendan Layall. All of them played a fantastic game. Going into Final Jeopardy, the tension was high, the category was tough, and everything was on the line. The host revealed the clue, and the music started. You could almost feel the gears turning in their heads. Then, the moment of truth. Brendan revealed his answer. It was correct. The host turned to her. What did she write down? And more importantly, what did she wager? Her answer was revealed, and it wasn't correct. For a split second, you might have thought, oh no, did she just lose it all? This is where the magic happened. The host announced her wager, a mere $10. Just 10. She dropped from $18,200 to $18,190, but it didn't matter. She had secured the win before the final clue was even read. The host declared it without a hint of drama. Allegra Cooney, you are today's Jeopardy champion. It was a calm, decisive victory. No wild celebrations, just a satisfied smile from Allegra. She knew what she was doing. She's now heading to the semifinals, and that's a huge deal. It means more games, more high stakes, trivia, and a shot at the Tournament of Champions. This is what makes Jeopardy so brilliant. It's not just about knowing things. It's about knowing when to be bold and when to be cautious. Andrew and Brendan did everything right. They answered correctly. They wagered to maximize their chances. But Allegra played the situation perfectly. She had what's called a runaway game or a lock. This means her score was more than double her closest competitors. The only way she could lose was by making a massive unnecessary bet. Her $10 wager wasn't timid. It was tactical genius. It was a calculated move that guaranteed her victory regardless of whether she knew the final answer. She understood the most fundamental rule of a runaway game. Don't give it away. By betting small, she insulated herself from disaster. It's a lesson in game theory playing out right before our eyes. Knowledge gets you in the door. Timing helps you stay in the game. But it's judgment that wins championships. So while it might not have been a nail-biting photo finish ending, it was something better. It was a display of intelligence, poise, and flawless strategy. It's a reminder that sometimes, the quietest moves are the most powerful. This is the kind of gameplay that separates the good players from the great ones. And it's why we keep coming back for more. What do you think? Was this a brilliant strategic play or just a safe move? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading how other fans analyze these games. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy deep dives into game show strategy like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. We'll see you tomorrow for another look at the wonderful world of Jeopardy. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a Final Jeopardy moment that, on the surface, might seem a little quiet. There's no jaw-dropping comeback, no massive bet that blows up in a contestant's face. It's the kind of ending that might make you just shrug and move on. But trust me, when you look closer, this single clue reveals everything about what it takes to win at the highest level of this game. It's a masterclass in strategy, risk, and the psychology of a champion. So let's set the stage. We have our three contestants, Allegra, Andrew, and Brendan. They've battled through 2 tough rounds, and it all comes down to this. The category is scientific vocabulary, and the clue is simple, direct. No tricks, no wordplay, just pure knowledge. As the famous thinking music starts, the real game begins. This isn't just about knowing the answer anymore. It's about a complex calculation of what your opponents might do. It's a game of chess, played with dollars and cents. Let's break down the 3 different mindsets we see here. First, there's Andrew. This year is in 3rd place, so his strategy is straightforward. He needs to play to get ahead of Brendan in 2nd. It's a classic move, bet enough to leapfrog the person right in front of you, assuming they miss the question. It's a calculated risk, but it's his only real shot at climbing the ladder. He's playing offense because he has nothing to lose. Then we have Brendan, sitting in the middle. His wager's a bit more nuanced. He's aiming to catch Allegra the leader, but only if she stumbles. He has to bet enough to put pressure on her, but not so much that he falls behind Andrew if they both get it wrong. He's playing a delicate balancing act, a mix of offense and defense. He's hoping for a mistake from the frontrunner, a very common position for a 2nd-place contestant to be in. And finally, we have Allegra, our champion, in the lead. This is where things get really interesting. She has a comfortable, but not insurmountable, lead. The temptation for many players here is to bet big, to go for a huge payday and a blowout victory. But Allegra does something different. She plays to protect what she's already earned. Her wager is incredibly precise. It's designed to do one thing and one thing only, guarantee a win, as long as she gets the question right. She's not trying to maximize her winnings. She's trying to eliminate all possible ways she could lose. This very decision is what sparks so much debate among fans. Was Allegra being too cautious? Should she have bet more, showed more confidence? Or was her move perfectly calculated, the mark of a true strategist? When you see the final numbers, the answer becomes crystal clear. Her final total is $18,190. She's still standing, still winning, and she's moving on to play another day. This is the scenario that every single Jeopardy contestant dreams of. It's not about getting every single question right or making the flashiest wagers. You just need to be prepared, stay cool under pressure, and make the smartest move for your specific situation. And that's the quiet lesson hidden inside this seemingly uneventful Final Jeopardy. Sometimes, the most intelligent play isn't the boldest one. As the credits start to roll on the episode, it's easy to just see it as another day, another winner. But for viewers who really pay attention, they revealed just how razor-thin the line is between victory and defeat. It all came down to a single word, one carefully planned wager, and a difference of just $10. That's all it took to separate the champion from the challengers. It wasn't loud or explosive, but it was a perfect example of strategic brilliance. It proves that in the world of Jeopardy, sometimes the quietest moves make the biggest impact. What do you think? Was Allegra's wager smart or too safe? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I read every single one. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more analysis. We'll see you in the next video. We've all seen those jaw-dropping * Jeopardy finishes, right? The ones with huge comebacks and heart-pounding wagers that have us screaming at the TV. But sometimes, the most memorable endings aren't the loudest. Sometimes, they're the quietest, the most brilliant, and they teach us something profound about strategy. Today, we're diving into one of those moments, a masterclass in precision that every fan should know about. This isn't a story about a lucky guess. It's about the cold, hard beauty of math. Let's set the stage. The game is on the line. The scores are tight. The Final Jeopardy category is revealed. For the players, this is it. The culmination of years of study, quick reflexes, and mental fortitude all comes down to one question and one wager. As viewers, our hearts pound. We think, what would I do? Bet it all. Go for the glory. We're conditioned to expect a dramatic, high-stakes showdown. But that's not what happened in this particular game, and what did happen is far more fascinating. The player at the heart of our story is Allegra Cooney as she stood there, with the lights, the cameras, and the weight of the moment on her. She wasn't just thinking about the answer. She was thinking about the numbers, the scores of her opponents, the possible outcomes, the probabilities. She had a choice to make, a choice that many players face. Do you go for a massive payday and risk losing everything, or do you play the odds with surgical precision? Allegra chose precision. She didn't get caught up in the emotion or the ego of a big bet. She didn't try to make a statement or create a TV moment. She simply looked at the scoreboard, did the math in her head, and figured out the exact amount she needed to wager to secure the win, assuming her opponents made logical, high-percentage bets themselves. It was a move that showed she wasn't just playing the game, she was mastering it. She was playing chess while others were playing checkers. And her wager, it was incredibly specific. It wasn't a round number. It wasn't a guess. It was a calculated figure, designed for one purpose and one purpose only, to win. When the wagers were revealed, it was like watching a beautiful equation solve itself. Her opponents made their moves, and just as the math predicted, Allegra's calculated, seemingly small wager was enough to put her on top. She won, not with a bang, but with the quiet confidence of someone who trusted their logic. This victory by Allegra Cooney has become something of a legend among die-hard * Jeopardy fans. It serves as a powerful reminder that the game is so much more than just trivia. Knowing the capital of Kyrgyzstan is impressive, sure, but knowing when to bet and how much to bet, that's a different kind of genius. It's about risk management, game theory, and psychological awareness. It's about understanding that sometimes the smartest move is not to make a move at all, or at least, not the one everyone expects. So often, we are drawn to the dramatic. We love the stories of underdogs who risk it all and win big. But there's a different kind of thrill in watching a plan come together perfectly. It's the thrill of seeing intelligence in action, of appreciating a strategy so well executed that it seems inevitable in hindsight. Allegra Cooney's win wasn't just a victory for her. It was a victory for a certain kind of thinking, calm, analytical, and unshakable under pressure. That's what keeps * Jeopardy so compelling, even after all these decades on the air. Every game is a unique puzzle. Every Final Jeopardy presents a new set of strategic challenges, and every so often a player comes along who reminds us that the brain is the most powerful tool, not just for recalling facts, but for navigating the intricate dance of competition. It's not always about what you know, but how you use what you know. Allegra Cooney's game was a quiet, intelligent victory, and a perfect lesson in the art of winning. Thanks for watching. If you love deep dives into game show strategy like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. We'll see you then. Did you catch Jeopardy last night? If not, you missed one of the most brilliant, most unusual, and honestly, most satisfying endings in recent memory. No, it wasn't a record-breaking win or a nail-biting tiebreaker. It was something far more subtle, and in my opinion, far more impressive. It was a masterclass in strategy, risk management, and knowing when not to play the game. Let's set the stage. We have three contestants: Andrew Hayes, a software developer; Brendan Liar, a strategy consultant; and Allegra Cooney, an attorney. Heading into Final Jeopardy, the scores were tight. Andrew was in the lead with a solid $17,000. Allegra was right behind him with $16,000. Brendan was in third with a respectable $10,800. It was anyone's game, a classic Jeopardy setup where one smart wager could change everything. Then came the Final Jeopardy category: Historic Americans. A broad topic, but one that dedicated players are usually well prepared for. The clue was revealed in 1873. He wrote that he had been a slave, a fugitive, a newspaper editor, a U.S. Marshal, single quotes, but not yet a U.S. minister. Now, take a moment. Put yourself in their shoes. The clock is ticking. The lights are bright. Alex Trebek's legacy hangs in the air. Who could it be? The obvious answer, the one that probably leaped into the minds of millions watching at home, was Frederick Douglass. He was a former slave, a famous orator, an editor of the North Star, and he served as a U.S. Marshal for the District of Columbia. He later became the U.S. Minister to Haiti. It all fits perfectly. But here's where the game theory kicks in. This isn't just about knowing the answer. It's about knowing what your opponents will do. Let's break down the wagers. Brendan, in third place, needed to go big to have any hope of winning. Now, over to our leader, Andrew. With $17,000, his goal was to cover Allegra. He needed to bet just enough to stay ahead of her if she bet everything and got it right. But Andrew also wrote down Frederick Douglass. He wagered $15,001. This was a classic cover bet, aiming to land him at $32,001, seemingly securing his victory. He got the question right, and his score shot up. At this moment, it looked like Andrew had played it perfectly and was our new champion. But then, the camera panned to Allegra, the final piece of the puzzle. With $16,000, she was in a tricky spot. She knew Andrew would likely bet to cover her. What if it was designed to make everyone think of the obvious answer, when the real answer was someone more obscure? $0. Wait, what? Why would she do that? It seems counterintuitive, right? You're on Jeopardy. You're supposed to answer the question. But think about it from a strategic perspective. Allegra analyzed the situation perfectly. She realized the clue was almost too perfect for Frederick Douglass. It was so straightforward that it felt suspicious. She might have thought, this could be a trick. The writers are trying to bait us into the obvious answer. So, instead of guessing an alternative and risking her entire score, she played the odds. She decided that the probability of both of her opponents getting it wrong was her best path to victory. And guess what happened? As Ken Jennings revealed the responses, the unthinkable occurred. The correct answer was not Frederick Douglass, it was a deep cut. The correct response was John Mercer Langston, an abolitionist attorney and politician who served as minister to Haiti. All the clues fit him, but he's a much less famous figure. Let's rerun the final scores. Brendan, who went all in on Douglass, lost his entire $10,800, dropping him to $0. Andrew, who made that huge cover bet, also lost his $15,001, crashing his score down to a mere $1,999. And Allegra, standing there with her blank answer and her $0 wager, her score remained at $16,000. She won. She became the Jeopardy champion not by knowing the answer, but by knowing when to admit she didn't know and playing the smartest possible move. She won by standing still while everyone else ran off a cliff. And if you love deep dives into moments like this, make sure to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.